Some expats move abroad chasing a better life, only to discover they never truly feel at home again. People often think moving abroad leads to one of two outcomes: returning home or putting down roots somewhere new. For some expats, however, the reality is much more complicated. They no longer feel they belong where they came from, but never fully belong where they are either. We'll dive into the hidden side of expat life: belonging, identity changes, homesickness, cultural adaptation, and the costly mistakes Americans make when building a life abroad, using insights from The Earth Awaits, Numbeo, and livingcost.org. Watch until the end to discover why some expats never fully feel at home again, no matter how long they've lived overseas. The reason some expats never feel at home again is because home was never a place to begin with. For most of life, home seems simple. It feels concrete, permanent, and easy to define. Ask almost anyone where home is, and the answer usually points to a location on a map. Home is a country with a familiar flag, familiar customs, and familiar ways of life. It's the place where people understand the unspoken rules without having to think about them. For others, home is a city. It's the streets they know by memory, the neighborhoods they can navigate without directions, and the places that hold years of personal history. Every corner feels connected to a memory, creating a sense of comfort and familiarity that is difficult to replace. And for many people, home is even more specific. It's a house. It's the front door they've opened thousands of times, the room where they spent countless evenings, and the physical space that represents safety, routine, and stability. As long as life remains rooted in one place, this definition of home often feels complete. A country, a city, or a house seems like enough. But after living abroad, something unexpected begins to happen. Distance creates a new perspective. The longer someone spends away from the place they once called home, the more they realize that geography alone cannot explain why a place feels meaningful. Returning to familiar streets may feel comforting, yet strangely unfamiliar. The house may still be there. The city may look largely the same. The country may still feel recognizable. Yet something has shifted. The realization can be surprising. Home is not simply a location that exists on a map. It is not just a building, a neighborhood, or a nation. Instead, home begins to feel connected to something deeper. After enough time abroad, many people discover that home becomes less about geography and more about belonging. It becomes the feeling of being understood, accepted, and connected. And once that shift happens, the search for home is no longer about finding a place. It's about finding where that sense of belonging truly exists. The ending? I promise you, it's something you wouldn't want to miss. The hardest part of coming home is realizing that home didn't stand still while you were gone. For many expats, there is a quiet assumption that follows them throughout their years abroad. No matter how much changes in their lives, they believe that if they ever decide to return home, everything will feel familiar again. The streets will feel the same. The routines will feel the same. The people they left behind will still be there, waiting in the same places and living in the same ways. This belief can provide comfort during difficult moments overseas. It creates the sense that home remains a permanent anchor, untouched by time and distance. But reality rarely works that way. The moment an expat returns, they often discover that life continued moving forward without them. Friends who once had endless time for spontaneous conversations are now focused on careers, families, and responsibilities. Relationships that once felt effortless may now require rebuilding. Familiar faces are still recognizable, but the people behind those faces have gained new experiences, new priorities, and new perspectives. Communities change as well. Favorite businesses may have closed. New buildings may stand where old landmarks once existed. Neighborhoods may have developed in ways that feel unfamiliar. Even the culture can shift, shaped by events, trends, and experiences that happened while the expat was living elsewhere. The strange part is that the changes are not limited to everyone else. The expat has changed too. Years spent adapting to another country often reshape habits, expectations, values, and ways of seeing the world. The person returning home is not the same person who left. They carry experiences that few people around them fully understand, and they may find themselves looking at familiar surroundings through entirely different eyes. And that's when many expats experience something they never expected. They return to the place they once called home, expecting to pick up where they left off, only to discover that both they and home have become something different. The distance they thought would disappear never completely does. Stick around to find out why you shouldn't underestimate how much you change after living abroad long term. The biggest surprise of living abroad is often not how much a new country changes you. It's how long it takes to realize it happened. At first, most people focus on the obvious adjustments. They learn new routines, navigate unfamiliar systems, and adapt to different cultural expectations. These changes can feel temporary, like skills being added on top of an existing identity, rather than something that fundamentally transforms who they are. But change has a way of happening quietly. Month after month, year after year, experiences begin to reshape how a person thinks about the world. Priorities shift as new perspectives emerge. Things that once seemed essential may no longer feel as important, while values that were once taken for granted can suddenly take center stage. Living abroad also changes worldview. Experiencing a different culture firsthand often reveals that there is more than one way to live, work, communicate, and define success. Assumptions that once felt universal can start to look like cultural preferences rather than absolute truths. The world becomes larger, more complex, and more nuanced than it appeared before. Habits change too. Daily routines, social behaviors, communication styles, and even small preferences often adapt to a new environment. Over time, these adjustments become second nature. What once felt foreign becomes normal, while old routines can begin to feel surprisingly unfamiliar. Perhaps the deepest change happens to identity. Living between cultures often encourages people to see themselves differently. They may no longer fit neatly into the categories that once defined them. Instead of identifying completely with one place, they begin carrying pieces of multiple worlds within them. The challenge is that these transformations are often invisible while they are happening. Many expats assume they can return home and slip effortlessly back into their old lives, but eventually they discover something unexpected. The person who left isn't always the same person who comes back. And when that realization arrives, it can create a strange feeling. Home may look familiar, but the lens through which they see it has permanently changed. Keep watching, because you'll want to know why you shouldn't believe adaptation has a finish line. The mistake isn't struggling to adapt abroad, but expecting adaptation to end. When people move to another country, they often imagine adaptation as a journey with a clear destination. The early challenges are obvious enough. Learning unfamiliar customs, building routines, understanding social expectations, and figuring out how daily life works in a different environment. The assumption is simple. Eventually, all of this will be completed. Many expect that one day they'll wake up feeling completely settled, completely adjusted, completely certain that they belong exactly where they are. They imagine reaching a point where every question has been answered and every doubt has disappeared. At first, that expectation seems reasonable. After all, each passing year brings greater familiarity. Daily tasks become easier. New friendships develop. Favorite places emerge. The once unfamiliar environment gradually becomes part of everyday life. But then something unexpected happens. life abroad continues to evolve. Jobs change, relationships change, neighborhoods change, immigration policies can change, personal goals shift, new opportunities appear while old plans fade away. Even the country that once felt new continues transforming around them. At the same time, the expat keeps changing as well. New experiences create new perspectives. Different stages of life introduce new priorities. The version of life that felt perfect 5 years ago may no longer fit who they are today. As a result, adaptation doesn't always have a finish line. Instead, it often becomes an ongoing process of adjustment, growth, and rediscovery. There may be periods of confidence and stability, followed by moments of uncertainty when circumstances shift again. For some people, this realization can feel disappointing at first. They spent years waiting to arrive at a permanent state of certainty that never fully materialized. But the truth is far more reassuring. Life abroad often stays dynamic, and that's normal. The goal is not to reach a final stage where adaptation is complete forever. The goal is learning how to remain flexible as life continues changing, because growth rarely stops, and neither does the process of finding where you belong. Make sure to watch all the way through. You won't believe what happens if you keep comparing your two different lives. The fastest way to feel unhappy abroad is to compare two lives that never actually exist at the same time. Living in another country often creates a unique mental habit. Without realizing it, many expats begin measuring one life against another. They look back at home and remember the things they love most: the familiar culture, close relationships, favorite traditions, and the comfort of knowing exactly how everything worked. At the same time, they focus on the most frustrating parts of life abroad: the language barriers, the cultural misunderstandings, the bureaucracy, the moments of loneliness and uncertainty. The comparison feels natural, but it isn't fair. Instead of comparing complete realities, they compare the best parts of home with the worst parts of abroad. Naturally, home begins to look perfect. Then, sometimes the opposite happens. After a difficult visit back home, they remember the freedom, adventure, and opportunities they discovered overseas. They focus on everything they enjoy about their adopted country while dwelling on the frustrations, limitations, or disappointments they associate with where they came from. Now, the life abroad appears superior, yet this comparison is equally incomplete. The reality is that every place contains advantages and trade-offs. Every country offers certain opportunities while presenting certain challenges. No location delivers only benefits, and no location consists entirely of drawbacks. The problem is that selective comparisons create an impossible standard. When people compare idealized memories to everyday realities, neither place can ever measure up. Home seems wonderful until they return. Abroad seems perfect until daily life resumes. The mind keeps searching for a version of life that exists only in imagination. The result is constant dissatisfaction. No matter where they are, something else appears better, something else appears easier, something else appears more fulfilling. And that can prevent people from fully appreciating the life they are actually living, because they remain focused on a life they are not. Don't go anywhere and realize why you shouldn't be waiting for belonging to happen automatically. The missing piece of expat life is often not finding the right place. It's learning how to belong there. When people move abroad, they usually focus on practical goals first. They find a place to live. They learn how transportation works. They establish routines, secure employment, and discover favorite restaurants, parks, and neighborhoods. Gradually, life begins to function. From the outside, everything appears successful, yet many expats eventually notice something is still missing. They have built a lifestyle, but they don't quite feel connected to the place around them. The days are comfortable enough, but a deeper sense of belonging remains out of reach. Part of the problem is a common misunderstanding. Many people treat belonging as something they will eventually stumble upon. They assume that after enough months or years, the feeling will simply arrive on its own. One day, they'll wake up and magically feel rooted. But belonging doesn't usually work that way. Belonging isn't found, it's built. It grows through friendships that deepen over time. It develops through community, where familiar faces gradually become meaningful relationships. It strengthens through participation, showing up, contributing, joining activities, and becoming part of something larger than oneself. Most importantly, it requires time. Trust takes time. Connection takes time. Feeling known takes time. The challenge is that many expats build a lifestyle before they build a sense of belonging. They become experts at living abroad without becoming fully connected to the people around them. Their schedules are full, their routines are established, and their lives are functional, yet they remain observers rather than participants. Eventually, many discover that belonging is not a reward automatically granted after spending enough years in a country. It is something created through countless small interactions, shared experiences, and meaningful connections. And once those connections begin to grow, a place that once felt foreign can slowly start feeling like home in a way that geography alone never could. You'll want to see what you should do if you end up thinking something's wrong with you. The reason you don't feel completely at home anymore isn't because something went wrong, but because something changed. For many long-term expats, this question arrives quietly. It often appears after years of living abroad, when the excitement of relocation has faded and a deeper reflection begins. They look at their life and wonder why they don't feel entirely at home in their adopted country. Then they return to their country of origin and discover that something feels different there too. That's when the questions start. Why don't I feel fully at home anymore? Am I doing something wrong? For some, these thoughts can be surprisingly unsettling. After all, people are taught that home should feel obvious. It should feel permanent. It should feel certain. But the answer is usually no. The feeling doesn't necessarily mean a mistake was made. It doesn't mean the move failed. It doesn't mean something is broken. And this is where I finally understood what was really happening. I realized this wasn't a problem. It was a transformation. Living abroad had done more than change my address. It had changed the way I saw the world. Experiences, cultures, perspectives, and relationships had reshaped how I understood belonging, identity, and home itself. The person who left years ago had viewed life through one lens. The person standing here now viewed it through another. That realization changed everything. Instead of seeing my uncertainty as evidence that something was wrong, I began to see it as evidence that I had grown. The discomfort came from trying to fit a new version of myself into an old understanding of home, because living abroad had changed the way I saw the world, and there was no going back to who I used to be. The challenge wasn't finding the old version of home again, it was learning how to embrace the person I had become. So have you got an idea why some expats never feel completely at home again? Never feeling completely at home again isn't a failure, but the natural result of growth. It's because many expats have outgrown a single definition of home. They're no longer fully connected to the life they left behind, but they're also constantly evolving in the life they've built abroad. The biggest mistake Americans make abroad is expecting home to remain a place. For many expats, home eventually becomes a collection of people, experiences, memories, and values, not a location. And once that shift happens, everything changes. How do you avoid feeling lost? Stop chasing the perfect place. No country solves everything. Build community intentionally, because belonging is built. Accept that you're changing even when it feels uncomfortable, and create your own definition of home instead of inheriting one. The happiest expats stop trying to find home and start creating it. Some expats move abroad and never feel completely at home again. Not because they failed, not because they chose the wrong country, but because they changed. And maybe that's the point. Check out more of our videos to hear firsthand experiences from long-term expats about what it really takes to move abroad, and more importantly, to make it work long-term.